Let me tell you something you might not want to hear but need to hear. There will never be a perfect time to go after what you want. Never. If you're waiting for all the lights to turn green before you leave the house, you're gonna be stuck sitting on the couch your whole life. That magical moment when you suddenly feel ready, feel strong, feel full of fire and motivation, that moment don't always come. But that doesn't mean you don't move. That doesn't mean you don't work. You don't live your life by feelings, you live your life by decisions. You live your life by commitments. That's the only way you're ever gonna break free. The truth is, most days you ain't gonna feel like it. You might wake up tired. You might have gone to bed with stress all over your heart. You might be battling thoughts that say, why even bother? But I'm telling you right now, those are the days that matter the most. Anybody can work when life is easy. Anybody can move when the sun is shining and they've got a little extra money in their pocket. But real winners, real doers, they move when it's dark. They move when it's cold. They move when nobody claps, when nobody notices, and when nobody says thank you. They don't do it for applause. They do it because it needs to be done. Somebody once told me, if you only pray when you're in trouble, you're in trouble. The same goes for your work. If you only work when you feel like it, you won't ever see real growth. That's the hard truth. There's power in showing up when every part of you wants to quit. There's strength in getting up out of bed when your body says no. There's honor in pushing through when you're tired, when you're sore, when you're discouraged, because that's the moment you're building something that lasts. Feelings are temporary. Discipline is a lifestyle. You gotta learn how to separate the two. Your feelings will lie to you. They'll tell you it's too hard. They'll tell you you're not good enough. They'll tell you to rest when you haven't even pushed. But discipline, real discipline, will carry you through storms your feelings won't even stand in. You don't need motivation. You need a mindset. You don't need someone to hype you up every morning. You need to become the kind of person who can look in the mirror and say, let's go, we've got work to do. Let me get even more real with you. The devil don't want you to work. No, he wants you distracted. He wants you lazy. He wants you comfortable, because when you're comfortable, you're controllable. He don't need to destroy you. All he has to do is delay you long enough until you die with your dreams still inside of you. You hear me? If you don't master this moment right now, if you don't take control of your habits, your time, your energy, you'll blink and 10 years will go by. And you'll be the same person, just older and angrier, wishing you started, wishing you stayed consistent, wishing you listened, but I don't want that for you. I want you to be the kind of person who forces it out of yourself, who says, I may not feel like it today, but I made a commitment to myself, and I don't break my own promises. That's powerful. That's where self-respect is born, when you stop quitting on yourself every time it gets uncomfortable. When you decide that your dream deserves your discipline, that's when you start living with purpose. You see, a lot of people think they need to feel inspired before they take action. But the truth is, it's the other way around. Action comes first. Inspiration follows. You start walking, and then the path becomes clear. You get moving, and then the fire gets lit. Sitting around waiting for the mood to strike is a recipe for regret. Because feelings change like the weather, but habits build futures, and the only way to build strong habits is to act, even when you're not in the mood. Let's say you want to write a book. That's your goal. Sounds great, right? But writing a book ain't just about having a good idea. It's about sitting your butt in that chair every single day and typing when you'd rather be watching TV. It's about editing the same paragraph 10 times when your brain is tired. It's about staying up a little later, waking up a little earlier, sacrificing a few distractions because you made a decision that this matters. You don't need talent as much as you need tenacity. You don't need luck as much as you need discipline. Consistency will outwork brilliance every single time. Let's talk about your job. Maybe you don't like it. Maybe you dread clocking in every day. Maybe you walk in with a fake smile, but your heart's somewhere else. I get it. But hear me when I say this, even in a job you don't love, you can still show up with integrity. You can still put in excellence. Why? Because that job ain't your destination. It's your training ground. If you can learn to be faithful in a place you don't enjoy, you'll be unstoppable when you step into the place you were born for. How you do what you do right now determines how high you'll rise when the time comes. So even if you don't feel like it, do it anyway. You ain't doing it for the job. You're doing it for your own standard. And then there's the gym, your health, your body. Don't even get me started on that. You think folks who look fit and strong feel like hitting the gym every day? No, they don't, but they go. Not because they feel like it, but because they know what happens if they don't. They understand the price of laziness is always higher than the price of effort. Every time you skip the hard thing, you're choosing to stay the same. And if you're not careful, staying the same will start to feel like success just because it's familiar. But that's not growth. That's stagnation, and stagnation turns into regret if you let it go long enough. You don't have to be the smartest. You don't have to be the most gifted. You just have to be the one who refuses to quit. The one who works even when it's hard, the one who shows up when nobody's watching. That's how you win quietly, daily, faithfully, when nobody's clapping, when nobody understands, when nobody's calling your name. That's the secret ingredient to every success story you've ever admired. You think they felt like it every day? No, but they made a choice, and then they made that same choice again tomorrow and the next day. And the day after that, and before they knew it, they'd built a life they used to only dream about. Listen, it's not about giant leaps. It's about small, faithful steps repeated over time. You don't have to conquer the whole mountain today. You just have to take one step, one move, one task, show up to work, make the call, write the page, run the mile, send the email, post the content. Whatever your thing is, just do it, even if it's sloppy, even if it's not perfect, even if it's painful. Done is better than perfect. Moving is better than waiting. Faith without works is dead, so do the work, even when the faith feels small. I know you're tired. I know you've been carrying a lot. I know some days feel heavier than others, but you've made it this far. You're still standing. You're still breathing. You're still in the game. That means there's still time for you to change everything. And you won't have to wait on some magical day. You don't need a sign from heaven. The moment you decide to get up and go after it, that's your sign. That's your beginning. The rest of the world will catch up when they see you moving. You just have to start. So when the alarm goes off and everything inside you says, not today, I want you to respond with action, not a speech, not a plan. Action, get up, get dressed, get moving, even if it's slow, even if it's clumsy, even if you feel like quitting halfway through. Keep going, because every time you do that, you're proving to yourself that you're stronger than your excuses, you're more powerful than your pain. And you're committed to the life you said you wanted. That's the real test. Can you force yourself to work when you don't feel like it? Can you build when you're tired? Can you push when the crowd is gone? Can you keep going when the applause stops? That's where the dream lives, in the quiet, hard moments of discipline when nobody's watching but God. And you know what? That's more than enough. Sometimes the difference between success and failure is 5 more minutes of effort. That's it. 5 minutes when you wanted to quit. 5 minutes when you were about to turn off the laptop, walk out the gym, shut down the business idea, or close the notebook. But instead you said, let me keep going just a little longer. That little push. That's where growth is. That's where breakthroughs live. See, people think growth shows up like a miracle, loud, bright, easy to spot. No, growth is quiet. Growth is hidden in the decision to keep going when everything in you says stop. And you know what's crazy? When you do it once, it gets easier to do it again. You start to build momentum. Momentum is your best friend. Because once you get moving, once you've got that forward motion, even when you're tired, even when you're stressed, even when things feel hard, you keep rolling. And that's what separates those who dream from those who achieve. The people who succeed in life are not the ones who always feel like it. They're the ones who understand that feelings are just one small part of the equation. Purpose is what drives them, vision is what fuels them, and discipline is what delivers them. If you keep living your life based on how you feel, you're always going to be behind. You're always going to feel stuck, because feelings are inconsistent. They change with your mood, they change with the weather. One bad phone call, one missed opportunity, one argument with your spouse, and boom, you don't feel like doing anything anymore. But your purpose. That doesn't change your goals. They're still waiting for you. The life you want, it still demands effort, no matter what's happening around you. You know what's powerful. training yourself to respond, not react. Because reacting is emotional, but responding is controlled. Responding is saying, I don't feel 100% right now, but I'm still going to give what I can. That's maturity. That's progress. That's what separates the grown folk from the people who are still looking for handouts and shortcuts. There are no shortcuts. You want something different. You've got to do something different. You want to change your life. Then change how you operate, especially when no one is watching. Some of you are waiting for your big break, but you're not ready to carry the blessing you're asking for, because you haven't built the discipline it requires. You think just getting the opportunity is enough. But if you don't have the habits, if you don't have the muscle to stay consistent, then the opportunity will overwhelm you. Success is heavy. Let me say that again, success is heavy. And if you can't lift your small responsibilities with discipline now, you won't be able to carry your future calling when it shows up. The time to build your strength is now, not when you feel like it. Now, you've got to stop negotiating with laziness. Stop debating with doubt. Stop sitting around trying to convince yourself to do what you already know you're supposed to do. Every second you spend arguing with your weakness is a second you could be using to grow stronger. Stop talking, start doing, that's the secret. We spend too much time making excuses sound like wisdom. I need rest. I'm protecting my peace. I just need a little more time. No, you need discipline. You need fire. You need to remind yourself that this is not a game. This is your life, and how you live it is up to you. I've been through seasons where I didn't feel like doing nothing. I've seen days where I was so tired, so broken, I didn't want to get up. But I had to, because I made a decision a long time ago. I'm not going to be average. I'm not going to waste the breath God put in my lungs. I'm not going to leave this earth full of potential, and you shouldn't either. You've got too much in you. Too much vision, too much value. But if you let your feelings run the show, your greatness will stay buried under excuses. You're not always going to be motivated, but you can always be committed. Motivation is a mood. Commitment is a choice. You made a choice to chase that goal. You made a choice to build that business. You made a choice to get healthy, so stick to it, even when you're discouraged. Even when nobody's clapping for you, even when progress is slow, show up, work anyway, push through the wall, because every day you do that, you're developing a level of self-respect that can't be bought. Let's talk about something else: distractions, social media, binge, watching, gossip, comfort food, scrolling your life away. You think you're resting, but you're really just avoiding the work, and the work ain't going nowhere. It'll be waiting on you tomorrow, and the next day, and the next. Every time you choose distraction over discipline, you're choosing comfort over character. You've got to force yourself to focus. Put the phone down. Turn the TV off, get quiet, get intentional. You've got something inside of you that's worth fighting for, but you're not going to find it if you keep numbing yourself with noise. Discipline is not just about getting things done, it's about becoming someone you respect. Someone your future self can thank. Someone who honors their word. When you say you're going to wake up early, do it. When you say you're going to hit the gym, go. When you say you're going to build that business, save that money, finish that course, follow through. Not because someone's watching, but because you're watching. And when you start living like your own promises matter, everything in your life changes. You start to attract people who are on that same frequency. People who grind, people who are focused, people who don't complain, they conquer. Because success isn't just about skill, it's about environment. You can't keep hanging with people who treat life like a joke and expect to live like a champion. If you're serious about becoming who you were born to be, you need to surround yourself with others who are serious too. People who don't let you quit. People who check you when you get lazy. People who remind you that your destiny is bigger than your feelings. One of the most dangerous things you can do is get comfortable in survival mode, telling yourself, I'm doing enough to get by. That's not the goal. The goal is to thrive. The goal is to create. The goal is to rise higher, bless others, build something lasting. And you can't do that if you're living day to day on autopilot. You've got to shake yourself, wake yourself up. And sometimes the only way to do that is to force yourself into motion before your brain can talk you out of it. Don't think, move, don't hesitate, execute. The longer you wait, the louder doubt gets. So beat it to the punch. Remember, you're not weak for having off days. You're human, but being human doesn't give you permission to stay stuck. You can acknowledge your emotions without letting them control your outcome. Say to yourself, yeah, I'm tired. Yeah, I'm discouraged, but I've got work to do. That's called emotional maturity, and it's rare. That's why it's valuable. That's why the world respects people who show up when they don't feel like it, because they know how rare that is. It doesn't matter how slowly you go. Just don't stop. The only thing worse than slow progress is no progress. The only thing worse than feeling stuck is being stuck because you chose comfort over commitment. Your dream deserves more. Your family deserves more. Your calling deserves more. And deep down you know that. That's why this message hits you, because part of you is tired of playing small. Part of you knows there's more, but more only comes when you do more, especially on the days when you don't feel like it. So tomorrow morning, when the alarm goes off and your bed feels too good, remember this moment. Remember the pain of regret. Remember how much you've already sacrificed. Remember that you didn't come this far to stop now. Force yourself up. Force yourself to do one thing, just one thing that pushes you forward, and then do another and another. Stack those wins, they'll add up. They always do. And one day, you'll look back and realize everything changed when you stopped waiting to feel like it and started working anyway. So the next time you feel tired, unmotivated, uninspired, like the weight of the world is sitting on your chest, I want you to pause, take a deep breath, and remember who you are. Remember what you've survived. Remember that every single successful person you admire had days just like this, and they showed up anyway. They didn't wait for the mood to strike. They moved without it. That's how you win, because life doesn't reward the most talented. It rewards the most consistent. You don't need to feel ready. You need to be committed. You don't need to wait for inspiration. You need to honor your responsibilities. You don't have to be perfect, you just have to be present. You were created with purpose. You've got a gift that this world needs, but it only shows up when you do. So stop negotiating with laziness, stop making excuses sound pretty, and stop treating discipline like it's optional. Get up, show up, do the work even when it's hard, especially when it's hard, because that's where your power is. That's where your breakthrough lives, right past the moment you were about to quit. Now go get what's yours.